were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Yeah, the bonnie boat was one as we sail into the mystic.
Welcome to Three, the most innovative metaphysical program ever created. Join Kris, Rainey, and Mona as these amazing intuitives provide you with a three-dimensional divination into your most important questions. Now, from Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, enjoy Three with our hostess, Mona Van Joseph.
Well, hello again to yet another fabulous episode of Three.Vegas. So here's what's so cool. You guys have found us, and we haven't done a whole lot of advertising. I mean, we've had thousands of people now tune into our first 4 broadcasts of Three.Vegas. And I have to say, it's probably because of these 2 wonderful women collaborating in this 3-dimensional way, this transformational way. To be able to answer your question. So we have had some very interesting comments so far. I've had people reach out, and one of the comments was, well, why do you always have the astrologer start first? Because don't you think the astrologer is influencing the other 2 readers? That's a very good point. So we're going to actually have you tap into your own intuition, and we're going to have you choose who answers your question first. What makes that amazing is that you get to choose who answers your question first. And whoever answers the question first, let's be fair, is going to start cutting through the brambles of what you need to hear. Because like my friends here, we don't believe in accidents. We believe that you found this program for a reason. Now, before we get started, before we go to our first call, I want to check in with our fabulous readers. So, Kris, tell us about what's happened since you were last on the program with us.
A lot has happened. So I've been very busy with doing readings. I've done a few events as well. But I've really focused on doing some more forecasts. We have some very interesting transits going on.
Yes.
So Jupiter, lucky planet in astrology, just transited into Gemini. So it's a new era for many signs when it comes to prosperity and abundance.
Okay, but isn't Gemini kind of scattered?
Definitely a duality. Like, who am I getting today? Which side?
Yes, it sure can be, but it also rules communication and publishing and broadcasting and learning and really anything involving, mental connection and communication. So it's going to be really lucky for those who have any kind of placements or interest in any kind of communication pursuits or publishing or broadcasting.
Well, what is our moon this month for the month of June?
And we just had our new moon.
We did.
Well, the new moon, but I'm looking for the full moon, man.
So one of the reasons
It's coming. With a vengeance.
So we just had our new moon, and on the 6th, it was in Gemini. And so new moon's bringing that new energy and new beginnings. And what I love so much about this month's new moon is it's accompanied with Jupiter, lucky planet. It's accompanied with Venus, planet of love. And so we have a lot of nice forces joining together to create a lot of harmony in the month of June.
And so what's our full moon in, and when is our full moon in June?
It is on the 23rd of this month and is in Capricorn. So
grounded.
Dun, dun, dun. Somebody needs to ground that Gemini.
Okay, so that's about material possessions and security, right? In Capricorn.
It definitely has that. It's Capricorns are more focused on career pursuits, so they're very ambitious. They're our workaholics, along with Virgos, but more so Capricorns are workaholics. They're very career ambitious, and they're very frugal and conservative. Mm-hmm. So they do tend to amass possessions, and so there's a strong connection there with material assets.
I also felt too that Capricorns do the loop. They keep looping in their brain, and they are so looping that they don't really find path forward. Sometimes they're a little afraid to step forward this month, is what I'm really feeling strongly, especially with the Capricorn.
So, Rainey, you had a rather intense connection with a spirit from the other side at someone's place of business. Will you tell us about that?
Holy Schmidt. There is this fabulous Jewish woman who is, and I hate to say haunting because it's not a haunting. She's like, I'm here, I love makeup, and she messes with a lot of things. What's really interesting is that where this business is located was this beautiful sacred mesa. And the city of Henderson, this is outside of Henderson, Nevada, has changed the landscape by making a park, which really stirred up a lot of energy that is now expanding out. And part of her haunting has to do with that energy. And then there's a grumpy old man that just, excuse my language, likes to F with everything, calls the police randomly, comes in and throws things around, opens doors, ruins, turns sideways pictures. And he's just grumpy. And so there has to be a connection with him to kind of calm him down and let him know, hey, you need to go to the other side, because he's not really sure he's gone.
Okay, now, do any of these disruptive energies set off alarms?
The grumpy old man. He's the one who calls 911.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
He doesn't really, he's very grumpy. He was grumpy in this lifetime. He refuses to pass over to the other side. I think it's just a matter of somebody saying, hey, dude, we love you, but you're dead. And it's time for you to move on. And so I'm going to go visit her. You don't need to sage and all that stuff, because that's just kind of what you said, that the communication, that's not necessarily true. It just, she has to just take her power back and claim her space and say, okay, let me help you go into the light. And it's as easy as that. So we're going to do that.
So my remarkable visit this week was, there was a woman who had been married to a Capricorn, which is kind of funny. We're on the Capricorn mode. She'd been married to him for 8 years. Well, she finally decided that all of the things that he said he was going to do when they got married, and he was going to support her and be her champion and be her knight in shining armor and slay all the dragons. Well, he basically didn't turn out to be that way. He ended up being kind of a lazy slug, collecting about $1,200 a month from Social Security. But she was basically supporting the household. So she finally said, I can't do this anymore. So he said, okay, well, pay me $50,000 and I'll sign a non-contested divorce and divorce you. And she's like, oh no. So I referred her to an attorney of mine that I know, that is the iron fist and a velvet glove man. She goes, well, let me take a look at this. So here's where the big reveal was. She found out that her husband that she'd been married to for 8 years was never divorced from his previous spouse. I was going to say
he was married.
So he was never divorced from the previous spouse. But here's the kicker. The previous spouse is a multi-millionaire. So he's actually entitled to the money from the previous spouse, but she's off the hook, man. She didn't have to deal with him anymore. That was my big.
That's like a Dateline segment.
I know. Isn't that a hoot?
And
Cocktails,
how lucky
that's
for
fabulous.
her as well.
Yeah,
it's so
good job.
wonderful. So anyway, so you guys, if you want to be on our caller is going to be calling in here any second. If you'd like to be on 3.Vegas, and I want to tell you that our next couple of broadcasts, this one and the one following, are going to be call-ins. But the next 4 episodes after that are going to be Yard Stream, which is like Zoom, but better audio quality. So when you actually petition to be on the program, we're actually going to ask you to Yard Stream in, which, like I said, it's like Zoom. So StreamYard. All right. StreamYard. Thank you, John. I love you, man. Barnyard, StreamYard. Okay. So what's going to happen is that John will then send you all the link information for you to zoom in, for lack of better, or stream in, for lack of a better way to describe that. And then what's really, really interesting about that is that your picture will be in a little window at the bottom of the screen as each reader is actually answering your question. So go to 3.Vegas, go to the contact page about how to be on the program. Do not send us your question. We don't want to know until you call into the program. That's what makes it fun. It makes us tap into our own intuitive ability for you, which is what this is all about. So, all right. Hey, John, do we have our caller?
No.
Oh,
Well, you
man.
know, it's really important
We-
too to make sure that you put in all the information for astrology. So,
Yeah.
and that is not shared. You are held in the highest of confidence. Everything is confidential. Please don't forget to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're only going to
Ton
use
of
your
work
first
and stuff.
name. We're going to announce your astrology sign, like Rainey
Yes.
just said, but we're not going to get into the nitty gritty details, like the date you were born, the place you were born, your last name. We're not going to reveal any of that. So, and matter of fact, that leads me to tell you something else. With each of our readers, we are the queens of confidentiality. So when you talk with us, it is like talking to your best friend. It is like getting right to the point of what you need to discuss and an issue that you need to air out. Sometimes the most beautiful thing you can do is describe out loud a situation, because sometimes your own intuition steps in and says, oh.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a break for just a second and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Edgar Alejandro. I'm the co-founder of Rising Again Productions. So we've been here in Vegas producing films for the past couple of years, and we've seen our fair share of studios. We've worked in our fair share of studios, and to be honest, WWDB TV has been our favorite by far. John is so welcoming. The space is wonderful. It's perfect for what we need. We've had rehearsals here, we've had callbacks here, we've had table reads here. So if you're a Vegas creative, or really just a creative coming into Vegas, definitely check out this space, chat with John. I think you'll find that this studio has everything that you'll need as well.
And welcome back. We have our caller on the air. Now, Rafael, we're going to do this a little differently than we've done on previous programs. And you're going to choose which reader you want to have answer your question first. So the very first thing we want to know is, what is your question?
Okay, so I have a backup question just in case it's too general. But my question is, I have a lot of deja vu dreams. And some happen right away, like the very next day. Some take years. And then some dreams just are dreams. I want to know, is there a way to tell the difference between just the dream and what something that's about to happen or that could happen?
So I got to ask you a question. Are you on speaker right now? Because it seems like your voice is breaking up on the air. So can you make sure you're not on speaker?
I took it off speaker now.
Okay, so could you go ahead and ask the question again? Because what I'm understanding is that you're having a lot of deja vu experiences. Now, are you asking if those are actual intuitive impressions, or what are you asking?
So I want to know if I can tell the difference between what's a dream and what's an actual deja vu dream.
Okay, or what's a dream and what's a deja vu / psychic dream, right?
Right.
Okay,
right.
got it. Okay, that's a great question. All right, so which one of us do you want to have answer the question first?
I'll go with Kris.
Okay, Kris, astrologer, it's all you.
Hello. So I love that you asked that question, because it's kind of funny. When I was looking at your chart, I picked up that you actually are very intuitive. And I have it notated here a few different places. So I believe what you're experiencing is probably more intuitive. But I want to touch on your chart first. And one of the things that I see is that you're a Leo sun, but your rising is Pisces. And Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune rules our intuition. So that's a really strong aspect to your personality. You also have something else in your chart that it's Neptune, and it touches the top of your chart, which is your MC, and that's a very sensitive area of your chart. And what that talks about is your what you're known for in this life, like your reputation. So I wouldn't be surprised if people know you to be quite intuitive. And then as we're looking at kind of the transits going on in your chart and the planets that are affecting you, you have this long transiting placement of Neptune again. And so not only are you ruled by Neptune, but Neptune is currently transiting it's hitting right on your AC, which your AC is the exact degree that your chart starts. So it's your rising. And this is a long transiting aspect. So this, it takes typically about 5 to 8 years or so to run through this house for you. And so it's been going through your transiting through your 12th house, which represents your unconsciousness, your dreams, your subconsciousness, things that are hidden. And so as it peaks to your ascendant, you're going to start experiencing, and it sounds like you probably already have, but here very recently, I would say probably within the last few months, and it's about to start peaking here in the next, I would say probably about 2 months, you're going to start having some very pivotal intuitive insights. So there definitely could come through the forms of dreams. Also, this could just be, usually when I see this, it's kind of a form of clairvoyance where it will just come to you. There's going to be some things where you just know, and you don't know how you just know that you know. And as this peaks and it goes further through your first house, it's going to get really strong. So this is going to be a transit that you're going to be feeling probably for the next 7 to 8 years. So great. If you're looking to develop your psychic development, I mean, this is a really good transit to have, because it really plays into your natural gift of intuition.
Rafael, can I ask Kris a question on your behalf?
Yes, please.
Okay. If he were to choose one method of divination to concentrate on, what would you suggest that he use to focus?
Let's see.
May I chime in?
Yeah, sure.
The fabulous Rainey.
Darling, you are not from here. And let me tell you, I don't know why I brought my aliens. Oh, he's green, so you can't see him. But I brought things related to higher consciousness. Baby, you are an astral traveler, and I would trust every damn thing you are getting. And what I want you to do, there's a place called the Monroe Institute. They use what they call hemisync frequencies. You put on headphones, you get eye covering that is padded on the inside so you can open your eyes, but it still makes it dark. And if you go up into that higher consciousness, and never fear, because they're trying to talk to you. They are trying to signal to you. And this is their way of saying, McFly, answer the phone. Try some of these higher consciousness. It's almost like a solfeggio binaural beat. And it will help. Do you sometimes have difficulty navigating on Earth?
No,
Social.
pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty good with, like, if you're saying like north, south, east, west, I'm pretty good at, getting around the city or traveling throughout I've driven across the country before, so.
I think I'm referring to more like sometimes do you get a little bit of anxiety, or do you start feeling like I need to turn left instead of right?
Yes.
Sometimes it feels like this gravitation being here on Earth is a little bit too heavy for you. Is that a fair statement?
Right, yeah.
Yep, darling, you are not from here.
So I guess my question too is, like, for example, the other night I had a dream that I was in an airport and it got overrun by terrorists. So do I believe that and trust in that, or is that just a dream?
You need to believe in what you're getting. Your gut. How many times have you said to yourself, I knew it, and you feel it right here, and you're like, son of a gun, I should have done that, and I knew it. It's because you're not listening. It's not really deja vu, it's premonitions. It's spirit trying to literally connect with you. Do you see signs and symbols? Like sometimes all of a sudden you'll just be driving and you'll see 1111 somewhere?
I see a lot of numbers, repeating numbers, yeah.
That's how they're trying to communicate with you. Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt, but when spirit is coming to me, I'm just really quick. They are telling me that's how they are trying to connect with you. So I would get some big Post-it notes. When you see a little sign or symbol, like a little white feather flying in front of you, and it just draws your attention, you're not looking for it, you write down what you were thinking at the time, the date, the time, and what you saw. And when you can, go Google some of those symbols. Do not write everything down, just what resonates. And then take that Post-it note and put it on the wall. Before you know it, you're going to have like 30 Post-it notes. And as you're looking at them, you're like, wow, number 13 really follows the story where number 3 should be. And before you know it, you're going to be like, son of a gun. Is that what you're trying to tell me? It's not deja vu, it's premonitions. They're like, McFly, answer the phone.
And I would like to touch on that too, specifically to your question. So you had this dream about being on an airplane and that being taken over by terrorists, correct? That was your dream?
In an airport.
Okay. So I'm going to say that I actually have dreams very similar to that. And what I have noticed is within about a week after I have those dreams, I'm there. It's like I'm present. It's happening to me. It's happening in wherever I am. But about a week later, I'll see on the news that something very similar happened. So to Rainey's point, I got to the point where I started writing down my dreams. And so that's what I would recommend, is writing them down, but don't take them so literally, like it's going to happen to you, or, you know, it's going to be in your environment. It could just be something that happens that you see on the news, or you hear of something very similar happening to someone else. And sometimes our dreams are a little too specific, but if you kind of back up a little bit and kind of not really pay attention so much to the details, but just kind of the overall, you can definitely see it happening in events and stuff.
Yeah, and what I would do is I would grab a cocktail, I would grab a little beach chair, and I would go up to the moon. Literally go up to the moon, sit on the moon and look at Earth from a different perspective. Go up into that higher consciousness. It works every time.
Okay, well, now I'm dying to see what the cards want to say. Rafael, it's all about you now. So I'm going to draw your 5 cards based on your question. And I have a feeling that I already know which cards are going to come up, because it just, the sense of them. Okay, the very first, oh, wow. So the very first thing I want you to be aware of is that you need to be in control. I'm going to move these cards so you can see them on camera here when you look at the video. Oh, and by the way, you realize that your program is going to air next week, and that once this program is on the air, you can go back to it anytime you want, forever. So, but when you look at these cards, the very first card is a card called Control. Now, this is a card that represents the rules that you create for yourself as you know you're aligned with spirit. All right. So a lot of people are very intimidated by people that know why they're here. And according to what I'm getting in your cards, you're about to know why you're here. All right. I also think that your own past experience is opening a door for you. And I think that your stories are going to be stories on the big screen, or stories that are spiritual representations in some way, because you have this card called Control, which is staying very disciplined and tapping into how you're going to connect to your intuitive ability. So when Rainey says, act like you're sitting on the moon looking at the earth, right? When Kris is talking about how Neptune, one of the things she didn't actually say is Neptune rules dreams. So the fact that you have Neptune all over your chart in very key areas, it's your rising sign. So you're a Leo, which is you can be social, you can interact with just about anybody. That's your brave sign. But the Neptune being in your rising, that literally says that you're supposed to be in the spotlight, connected with this intuitive ability. So what you're disciplining yourself now is to actually have that method of divination. And it could be something as simple as getting a bowl of water in a white bowl and just looking at the bowl of water. And it stills your mind. So my favorite method of divination is the tarot, right? But I can do other forms of divination. But this is my favorite because it helps me focus my gift. It's almost like a switch is turned, and now I can jump into what's going on with someone. What's really interesting is that this intuitive ability has made you more energetic, and it's made you, I'm going to say it like this, less lazy. It's made you actually have a focus that feels like that kind of exciting secret identity you have about you, that you know that at some point what you're going to talk about with people is going to be revealed in a very public way. Does that make sense?
Okay. It does.
All right, cool.
And see the outsider card?
Yeah.
I love this card. It feels as though you don't believe that you have and can have and contain these gifts.
Right here.
It's almost like you're from the looking outside into this other world, that you're afraid to open that gate and step through because you're not accepting. Darling, you are gifted.
Okay, now you know what's so interesting is that so all three of us can read tarot. All right, so just a little bit of FYI, we all read tarot. We all read tarot differently, but we all mostly learned on the Rider-Waite deck back in the day. That was like the deck to learn on. So you have two cards that resonate to the number 5, and in traditional tarot, you have the 5 of Cups and you have the 5 of Pentacles. Now, the 5 of Cups is always about looking toward what's your future, not what has spilled from the past. In other words, you stop looking at the past and just deciding that your spirit stepped into your life right now. What are you going to do with it? All right. That's the way you look at this card. The outsider card is the 5 of Pentacles. Now, the traditional meaning of that card shows 2 peasants walking under the stained glass of a church. Now, they can go into the church. They're just deciding to not go into the church. And so what these cards literally say for you is that open your door. So the door is right in front of you. It is unlocked, but you have to turn the knob of the door. So it's not going to fly wide open for you. You actually have to step through the door, turn the knob of the door because it's unlocked. Stop looking at what you think might happen someday. I actually think it's already unlocked for you.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I mentioned that he has Neptune on his MC, which is the very sensitive part of the chart that shows your public image and your reputation and what you're known for. And he has Neptune it's not only in his 10th house. I mean, it is smack dab on his MC, which is, very sensitive. And what that says is that you said that his insight may be on broadcast or basically like a big screen. I could definitely see that. I mean, that could 100% be, and it's very strong. And what I love so much about that too is it's trying down to his 6th house of work. And you have this stellium in your 6th house, and your 6th house is your house of work and health.
Wait, what's the stellium again?
A stellium is when you have replacements in one area of your chart.
Okay, thank you.
So it multiplies that energy. And these are in beautiful aspect, that actually the best aspect up to that Neptune on his MC. So he could actually do this for like a living. Like,
well,
this could be his
he
work.
could be the
Agreed.
host of a broadcast
Yes.
himself.
Yes.
Well, by the way, if you'd like to actually host your own program, WWDB TV, John Stiles, he's always looking for amazing broadcasts here. So FYI, don't forget about our John. So, all right.
My sweetheart, it's not easy coming out of the closet.
Ah!
Seriously. No,
The
I was
psychic
born
closet,
this way.
yes.
Exactly. I was born this way. And I had a professional life until Spirit said, nope, that's not what you're doing. You were put on this earth to help heal and provide communication and direction. It was very hard to come literally out of the psychic medium closet. Do you lose some people? Absolutely. But that's okay. They weren't meant to be in your life. So live your authentic life. Don't be afraid to step over that threshold, because the fear is it's perceived and imagined. It's not reality.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rafael, for being our caller today. And look for your broadcast to air next week.
Can't wait till you come out of the closet.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Much love to you.
So, you guys, that was a really amazing 3-dimensional transformational view for Rafael. Oh my gosh, I just love this. So, do you all have any words of wisdom you'd like to share before we close the program today?
Never be afraid, because that fear really is just your ego holding you back. And the ego it's like a sentient being. It's kind of like a spirit guide. It helps you when you need to go on stage and deliver that message, but it also holds us back. And literally, when you actually do what you fear, it's not as bad as what your mind, your human experience is really perceiving. So for Rafael specifically, go up to that higher consciousness, go up to your higher self where your soul resides, because it's literally right there. You could reach it. It never lies to you. It always keeps you on your perfect path and on your yellow brick road. So never fear, because that fear is not really as bad as you thought until you do it. Trust me, I've been there, done that. My name is Rainy Day. Come on.
I love that. And especially the coming out of the closet, because I grew up in a very religious home, and I had growing up, I had no one to speak to about impressions that I would get. I mean, I remember being as young as 2 years old, having psychic and paranormal experiences, and they were, oh, it's your imagination. It's your imagination. And it wasn't until I was 17 that I realized that I got validation that I had these gifts. And even at that time, I still didn't know what they were exactly. I didn't know how to just, explore them or how to describe them. But it's once I made that commitment to, this is who I am, and I embraced it, like doors wide open.
Absolutely.
Okay, now finding out this little insight about my co-readers here is always fascinating to me, because I was raised in a very non-religious background. I mean, we celebrated Christmas because it was presents from Santa. It wasn't because there was the birth of anything special. I mean, that's how it was in our. So there was no training or even instruction at all related to God or religion in any way. So when I stumbled across a woman that was incredibly Catholic, who happened to be my best friend's mother, and she showed me how to read tea leaves, I'm like, oh, there is magic in the world. And that's what opened the door for me, was this lovely Catholic lady that was a mom of 6 kids, and did a tea leaf reading for me. That was my turning point. And that wasn't until I was 15. So it's kind of interesting to find out a little snippet of how y'all got to where y'all are,
Well, believe it or not, even Muslim is based on an extra, and I don't mean aliens, but an extraterrestrial event. So, and it can be very scary. A lot of these people either turn into introverts, addiction. And like you said, you didn't have anybody. Thank goodness I did. But embrace it, because you don't have to be a professionally licensed.
Right.
To do this. I see you doing it, Rafael.
Right.
See you doing it. But what it does, if you look at my resume, oh my gosh, you would be blown away. And it's all spiritually driven. I am guided by spirit.
It's fabulous.
It is.
So if you would like to be a caller and a StreamYard participation on the program, you'll need to go to the www.3.Vegas website and actually submit your question through the contact page. And then we will contact you about scheduling you to be on the program. So blessings to you all. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.